Welcome to CEO Interviews, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives about all the great things going on in its companies. Guys, for those of you new to this episode, if you believe in the future of lithium and what it's going to mean for electric vehicles, batteries, and more importantly, all the critical metals and minerals that are going to be needed to drive the new economy, especially in this construct now where the Western world, especially North America, especially Canada, wants to source it from here, then you're going to love this interview with Avalon Advanced Materials, trades in Canada under AVL, for our friends in the US, under AVLNF. With us on the screen, you can see him as Don Bubar, President CEO of the company. For those new to the story, listen to this intro, guys, because this is going to be one of the best discoveries you've made in 2022. Avalon owns a diverse critical metals and minerals property portfolio, giving investors exposure to rare earth elements, lithium, tin, indium, cesium, and tantalum. And that consists of 4 advanced stage projects. The one that we really love, amongst many, is a separation rapids deposit in Ontario that hosts the world's largest undeveloped known resource of the rare lithium mineral petalite. And you're going to hear a lot about that in this conversation. As a result, right now, Avalon is well positioned to serve both the battery metals and the glass ceramics markets. For new people watching and listening, you're thinking, glass ceramic market? Yeah, it's a big one. And why is Avalon in this position? They own the only large-scale significant petalite resource and potential new supplier not in Chinese control. That's massive, especially given what happened in Africa recently. As a result, 3 things you need to know in 2022. Avalon announced a partnership agreement to establish Ontario's first regional lithium battery materials refinery out in Thunder Bay. They did that by signing a binding letter of intent with an Essar Group company to become a strategic partner and co-developer. The Essar Group did $14 billion in revenue in 2020. It's also supported by Ontario's first ever critical mineral strategy. That's what we're talking about, where jurisdictions want the supply to come from here, right? They also signed a non-binding LOI to supply LG Energy Solution with a battery-grade lithium hydroxide starting in 2025. This is a leading global manufacturer of lithium-ion batteries for electrical vehicles. It was signed during South Korea's president's visit to Canada. And finally, they entered into an offtake agreement for petalite. There it is again, for those of you who know the story. Petalite concentrates from a major international glass ceramics manufacturer. It's for multiple number of years, and it's big. So we're here to talk about all of that. Don, welcome back, my friend.
Good to be back.
Listen, long intro because there's so much going on. I mean, if I just ended the story at Separation Rapids as a great project you own, it would be great. If I ended it at the Ontario Partnership for Supply Chain, that would be great. But you've got all of these stacked one on top of the other. Is it fair to say that in the 20 plus years that you've been running Avalon, that this is the strongest the company has ever been and ideally positioned for the new global paradigm that's coming to us?
Well, it looks like it now, although we came close back in rare earth days, as you well remember.
Sure.
But to this day, I'm sure China saw us coming, and that's what inspired them to relax the export quotas. So they didn't want any competition in North America on the supply chain and rare earths. But now everything that we're looking at is in increasing demand going forward. So it's a matter of just focusing on the one in most demand, which of course is lithium right now.
And it's not only demand side story, right, Don? On top of that, like you said, 10, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, China opened the export floodgates so that someone like you guys wouldn't take the lead on them. But now we've got a situation of they may still have the supply, but Western and North American governments, they don't want to rely on China anymore. And they're all really moving fast towards securing North American or at least Western sources, right? So you won't run into that same supply flood problem, will you?
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, the rare earth supply chain is on its way to getting started here, thanks to our Australian partner at Nechalacho Vital Metals. And the Saskatchewan Research Council have now established the rare earth separation capacity and the ability to make the magnet metals from the rare earth oxides. So that's a good start for getting that whole supply chain started here in Canada.
Yeah, and this time it doesn't look like it's going to stop. And look, the proof is in the pudding. Like I said, non-binding LOI to supply LG Energy Solution, and the deal with the international glass ceramics manufacturer undisclosed at this time. There's a reason they're coming to Avalon now. So let's talk about both of those. What can you disclose? And I think this is important for investors to understand. Investors, obviously, with so much going on, want more information from you, but you're in a great way. You can't really disclose a lot, right, about these agreements until until your partners say so. But what can you disclose about the recent commitment from the major international glass ceramics manufacturer to purchase petalite concentrates from you?
Well, they're just the first of many now that are expressing very strong interest in us creating a new supply because of the global shortage in petalite right now. And it's still the preferred way to introduce lithium into the glass ceramic formulation because it's a high purity lithium aluminosilicate mineral.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. I said that in my intro when I said you're in the position now. You're in a catbird position to be able to supply batteries and glass ceramic because a lot of people are probably saying, "What? I've never really heard of that application." But that's a massive market, right, Don?
Yeah, and it's growing. There's more and more innovation of other types of high strength glass products where lithium is always part of the formulation.
You said earlier, you said that just a minute ago that they're just the first of many. So other major companies around the world are manufacturers are knocking on your door, kicking the tires. I know you
Yes,
can't tell us a lot, but I'm going to try because I know the investors saying, "Come on, George, ask Don as much as you can."
yes. Lots of them are now knocking on the door saying, how soon can you get us some? We need it soon now because we don't have any supply sources anymore.
So what's the answer that you're giving them when they ask how soon? How soon would you be able to start shipping that? I know it's not going to be tomorrow, obviously, but how's the whole supply chain looking for you?
It looks good that we can get started next year,
Wow.
probably by the spring, because the first step with all these companies is we always have to provide them with trial quantities of the concentrate so they can test it, try it out, make sure it's going to perform to meet their expectations on the product quality. So that's the next step. And we're in the process now of acquiring a small scale demonstration plant to produce some trial quantities of the petalite product for those manufacturers. And we also have other interest in supporting our aspirations in establishing a new supply chain and access to other facilities that could probably do the bulk sample that we want to process now.
Now, there may be some people who are new at home saying or thinking to themselves, okay, you've got a number of knocks on your door, but how much supply do you have for all of these knocks? But the fact of the matter is you've got a lot, right, Don?
Yeah, because it's basically the largest undeveloped petalite resource in the world. And we don't know how big it is yet because we drilled off 10 to 11 million tons back in the 1990s. But we never found a bottom of the main resource, the big
Wow.
whopper pegmatite, and it's for sure going to extend to depth. And now we've discovered more on our property on the northwest side, petalite pegmatites. So we'll have plenty of resource to serve both markets going forward.
So you're going to be in that enviable position of being able to start shipping and at the same time while you're doing that, and you have lots of runway for that, keep trying to find the bottom of all this and increase the size of the project. So that's a fantastic position to be in. Let's talk about the MOU with LGES to supply lithium. So this is battery grade, what most people are familiar with, right? This is battery grade lithium starting in 2025. What can you tell us more about that?
Well, they were inspired to look at Ontario as a place to create the manufacturing capacity for lithium ion batteries. And one of the reasons they were inspired was the government assured them that they would support creating all the critical material supply chains for them. So they've been wanting to talk to companies that have the ability to start to create that supply chain in the near term. And being the most advanced lithium project in Ontario, that's positioned us well to be able to serve their needs in the relatively near term.
Now, one question that investors have had, they're a little bit anxious. Investors, want to see more and more. It was a non-binding MOU. And what's the status, if you can talk to us about when that might get firmed up and be completely binding, be a definitive agreement, and away you go?
Well, originally we thought it would only take about 6 weeks, but that's one of these long conversations that takes a while to get it finalized with a company like them. It's a very large company. In the meantime, though, we've had a lot of other interest from other automotive manufacturers looking to take advantage of Canada's mineral resources to be able to create the supply of the minerals they need.
So on the one hand, you've got multiple glass ceramic manufacturers knocking on your door for the petalite concentrates, and now you've got multiple auto manufacturers for the battery grade lithium side of things.
Yes.
Can you tell us? I know you're handcuffed, but okay, I know you can't tell us who, but what can you tell us in terms of the kinds of discussions you're having on the battery grade side? What are they looking for? Why do they like what Avalon has to offer?
Well, as you probably recall, one of our visions is to create a regional processing facility that we can get started with a supply from our resource, but then throw the door open for other new producers in northwestern Ontario to sell us lithium mineral concentrate, spodumene, whatever they have in the resource. We'll make it flexible to be able to process different types of lithium minerals. And that means we can take advantage of the many lithium pegmatites that occur in northwestern Ontario to assure a long-term supply and be able to grow the output over time too as the demand grows.
And what is the status of the development and financing of the refinery, especially with ESSA Group as your partner there? How's that looking?
Well, the ESSA Group have not come to the table lately, so we've pretty much given up on them. But we have so much other interest now. That's fine. I think it's better for us to work closely with a battery or automotive manufacturer at the end of the day. So we're getting close on several fronts here to being able to move forward. Next step for us has been to acquire a site in Thunder Bay because it's the ideal location to serve all the markets in North America and access other sources of supply and from the many pegmatites in northwestern Ontario. And we've got a site picked out now. We're just in the process of getting that deal done to acquire it, and that will allow us to get going on finalizing the plan and getting started on construction.
How important is Ontario's critical mineral strategy to all this, and how's it impacted Avalon since that announcement?
Well, I think it sent a very positive message to the investment community generally, and it was fundamental in attracting some of the manufacturers to consider setting up in Ontario. Because as I pointed out for many years, we've got all the critical minerals in the ground. We just have to start to take advantage of to attract the downstream manufacturing capacity to come here and take advantage of our resource wealth in the north.
And from what you're saying, it seems like that interest is really climbing.
Yes.
It's not as if you're trying to attract attention. The phone's ringing.
Yes.
Devil's advocate. How, if everything goes well, refinery is up and running, right? How will you be able to produce both lithium hydroxide for batteries and the petalite concentrate for the ceramic glass manufacturing from the separation rapids deposit? Will there come a point where you have to choose one or the other, or favor one or the other, or can you actually produce both?
Well, we have more than one lithium mineral in the resource. Petalite is the main one, but we also have lots of lepidolite, a lithium-bearing mica, and that can be concentrated separately to use in the battery materials operation as well. Plus, we'll start acquiring more and more lithium pegmatites as time goes on as well, from the many that are around in northwestern Ontario.
Now, even devil's advocate there, is there a race on for those resources?
Well, it's not race, but there's so many of them. It's not like they're difficult to find. You just have to know what you're looking for. And of course, one of the reasons the Big Whopper never got recognized early on is nobody knows what petalite looks like. No North American geologists. There were probably dozens that walked over that outcrop and didn't know what it was.
So because it's been a while since we've spoken, I'm sure shareholders want to touch on a couple of other things. Just quickly, the East Kempville Tin Project, what's the status over there?
Still kind of a wait and see. Hopefully we'll get the government behind us now to find a solution so we can get access to it again, because BHP have been blocking our access. But there seems to be quite a bit of interest there now in supporting our aspirations to reactivate the site. And people are starting to get it that tin is a very important technology metal now too. And there's lots of other goodies in the resource there, including lithium.
Yeah, a lot of us don't take tin seriously just because of the way we grew up, tin cups, tin this, tin cans, so we don't, our first reaction is, oh, it's just tin.
Right. Hardly anybody knows how many new applications there are in new technologies.
So should I go out there picking up a lot of tin cans? Start amassing my own resource. The lily pad project, a quick status update on that as well, for especially for the existing shareholders who because a lot of new people, a lot of new investors may not even know what lily pad is.
Well, it's not as advanced a project, but it's an exciting one in that the tantalum and cesium concentrations there are very high. And we did some work on it last year to define an efficient extraction process to concentrate the rare cesium mineral pollucite, which occurs throughout one of the dikes all the way everywhere. So it's potentially a very significant resource. And hopefully that the government will get going on the road access into the Ring of Fire, and that will give us better road access there too, to start to get that one started as well.
Well, Doug Ford made that commitment. I mean, I've never seen that before in all the years I've been following politics, which is a long time. He made that commitment in his victory speech from the podium the night of his election victory. This wasn't just some side press release or a side note somewhere. So I have to assume I took it that way, but investor want to hear from you. just how committed do you think the Ontario government is to building that road up to the Ring of Fire?
I think they're fully committed, actually. Yep, and there's lots of other mineral resources in the north there, so that's an opportunity to expand the economy in northwestern Ontario in good ways, and hopefully encourage more First Nations to take advantage of that, to participate in the economic development opportunities in their traditional territories.
Well, Don, thanks for joining us today. Look, congratulations. Last time we spoke on signing 2 more, material agreements. I know LG is non-binding and you're waiting for that to potentially become, definitive and firmed up, but you've also got the ceramic manufacturer as well. I think I speak on behalf of all shareholders when I say it takes a while, but you're literally pushing a mountain, and you're starting to gain momentum. So last word to you for your shareholders, and hopefully we'll see you again on the show before the end of 2022.
Well, we're still quite a bit of upside in our stock from here because we're not well recognized as an advanced lithium equity out there, and just haven't had the news flow that all the junior exploration companies have to create more and more interest in the market. Plus, we don't have the word lithium in the name of the company, so that means 99% of speculative investors have no idea we have an advanced lithium equity.
Well, we'll make sure they're finding out about that for sure. But I also want to say there's a reason why you're not putting out as much news, because you were putting out a lot of news 10, 20 years ago when you're doing all the drilling and all the results, everything coming back. But you're well past that now. You've got a monster on your hands. Now you're at the, more or less towards the end of the process where you're signing agreements with big companies. And hey, that's great news, but they do move slower because these are big agreements with big companies, right?
Yeah. And there's always subject to confidentiality agreements, so you cannot make any disclosure until you finalize things.
But the smile on your face and the body language tells me you're happy with how things are progressing, and I'm happy that you came on here, Don, to talk to everybody.
Well, thank you, George. Good to catch up.
Thanks, Don. Can't wait to have you back. It's on November 8th, so hopefully we're gonna have maybe a couple of Christmas presents or two, a Christmas present or two for the shareholders before year end.
Hope so too. Looking good.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Don Bubar, he's president and CEO of Avalon Advanced Materials, trades in Canada under AVL, for friends in the US under AVLNF. Guys, you've heard the story, the size of the deposit, the customers that are lining up that we know about, the doors that are knocking that we don't know about yet, but we know the doors are being knocked. So it's up to you guys now to do your due diligence, because the paradigm shift towards electric vehicles, batteries, critical minerals, that's unstoppable now. We know what's happening, and Avalon is sitting in a pretty significant position. Again, I'm going to say it again, the only large-scale significant petalite resource and potential new supplier to the world, not in Chinese control. If that is being in a fantastic position, I don't know what is. Do due diligence. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Hey guys, the video's over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our YouTube channel so you never miss another great Agoracom small cap video.